it's never too late to grow. Growth is infinite. My first year playing basketball was definitely a learning curve. I'd been playing a lot of pickup and a lot of unorganized, so being in organized practices and games was definitely something different. And I kind of noticed that athletically I was kind of behind my peers since I kind of started later in life.
I would say the biggest thing athletes face when they're starting a sport later is more so the mental side. Physically, they're going to catch up. You're an athlete, it's an athletic thing, they're going to catch up there eventually, but that mental side is what they really have to focus on because they know starting off, they're a little bit at a little bit of a disadvantage. And if they can make it through that mentally and say, okay, I'm going to commit to catching myself up to my teammates, I'm going to commit to catching myself up towards my competition, it's really the mental side that really breaks people before it would be the actual physical side, but you just got to lock in and commit and decide that's what you're going to do.
Consistent action creates consistent results. There's really no other way. You know, when the team's not super successful and we all felt like we were putting in the work we needed to, grinding day in and day out in practice, and I think a lot of people assume maybe the teams that don't have the greatest records, like they're not really doing anything in practice, when in reality the practices are probably 20 times harder. So not seeing results was definitely tough, but we kind of put our heads down and kept working. But ultimately, you know, after my 9th grade season, I was ready to quit basketball. And I remember talking to Travis about that, and he ultimately sent me a PFP YouTube video that Andrew had made a couple years prior about when is it time to quit and when is it time to recommit. And, you know, eventually I decided to recommit to my sport, and, you know, kind of ever since then I never looked back.
Looking at sports in general, a small percentage of teams are going to be great, are going to win championships, are going to be successful when you really look at it. So we were able to tell Sally, hey, you may not always win the game, you may not always win the championships, but it's about falling in love with the sport and falling in love with the journey, and that's why we play sports, is for the fun of it and the life lessons it gives you along the way that she was able to learn from that, committing even when you might be behind in that sense.
If something is standing between you and your goals, move it. Don't deny yourself of what you deserve. Any sort of gym, I would say especially PFP, teaches you so many little lessons during maybe just an hour of workout time. Showing up on time, fighting through pain, when it gets hard you keep going, and also connecting with others around you. These are a lot of skills that you can take out into the real world when your journey as an athlete stops, it'll eventually will.
We believe the lessons you can learn through sports and through physical activity can carry through multiple different ways in life. Whether it's overcoming a loss, whether it's overcoming injuries, whether it's overcoming mental toughness that you may face in an opponent, that all carries over to the determination it takes to study for an exam and do well, determination to get through a tough assignment, determination to, when you go get a job, having to be able to go through and have deadlines in order to meet. And also the camaraderie you build with your team is something you're going to need as far as just general communication with people. You learn how to work with other people, you learn how to build each other up, and you learn how to do what you need to do to be successful no matter what.
I would tell any athletes out there, and myself from 3 years ago, that your love of the game can carry you to so many places, no matter how frustrating and how much you want to give up. You have to keep going because there are lessons you will learn along the way that will take you way farther than a game ever would.